Hello and good evening. Today I would like to talk to you about free speech in the context of social media and Donald Trump. Following the attack on Capitol Hill, Facebook and Twitter have permanently shut down Donald Trump's access to their platforms. It is a well-established fact that both these platforms have played a great part in Trump's election in 2016 and his rule for the past 4 years. Trump has proven time and again that he is a communicator par excellence, supremely skilled at using social media and television to catch the pulse of his fans and rabble-rouse to further his own agenda while destroying his opponents. His tweets in particular have galvanized millions of people into a movement of sorts. And with masterly use of a mere 140 characters, he has been able to brainwash and manipulate his followers into believing him to be a leader, a savior, and even a prophet, a victim at times, a swamp trainer, and an action superhero all rolled into one. His tweets are gospel to his enormous voter base, and they will not see anything beyond his words. No wonder then that he was able to rouse the worst elements among his base, to throw caution to the winds and storm into one of the most venerated and secure buildings in the country. Trump is now bargaining with smaller social media platforms for access, and if reports are to be believed, his most favored platform is getting about 10,000 sign-ups in 1 hour. Such is the man's pull. Twitter and Facebook have not yet reported how many of their users have closed their accounts, angered by the ban on Trump. But both platforms are ablaze with enraged Trump followers spitting fire and new conspiracy theories, egged on by their prominent members of the Trump cartel. But there are also Biden supporters who are vociferous in their happiness to see a gag on Trump's mouth. And then, of course, there are the virtuous intellectuals, defenders of free speech, voicing their outrage, while opponents with various nuanced definitions of free speech try to shout them down. I think most of the debate centers around a main premise. Putting aside the allegations of politics, does a private business like Twitter or Facebook have the right to silence one of their users? Personally, I am against any kind of ban on free speech, and the only line that I will draw is when it comes to speech which incites or threatens violence. I believe Trump and his ringleaders like Giuliani and Don Jr. have crossed that line both directly and subtly, but that is besides the point. The other phenomenon is hate speech, but that is also very fluid, and it changes more rapidly than in the shape of an amoeba. So I won't get into that either. But I am always enraged at any attempt to gag an opinion, so I will stick to the basic question of the right to free speech. First and foremost, I would like to underline the fact that these are private businesses and platforms. And Twitter and Facebook are basically their products or their services. As much as your telephone is your respective manufacturer's product or your internet connection is your ISP's service. That being so, they are pretty much free to do whatever they wish to, as long as they do it on their own platform and their products. The way I look at it is that they have built a platform and they have allowed you to use it with certain legal terms and conditions. As long as you remain within these guardrails, you're fine. The moment you break these rules, you basically throw yourself at their mercy. Like I said, Trump and his cohorts have broken these rules plenty of times, and despite several warnings. They have left themselves open to action, and the provider of the service has seen fit to revoke their access now. As simple as that. But there are other questions that come to mind on this issue. Question number one. If I were to give you my car for your personal use, say for going to work or to go on a picnic with your family, but instead you use it to ferry drugs or carry guns, am I not allowed to take away the keys? 2. If I were to give you my personal non-commercial house to stay in without even charging you rent, but instead you start some kind of nefarious business there, am I not allowed to boot you out? And 3, perhaps more pertinently, I donate to your cause because I believe in you, but you use my funds for other objectionable purposes. Am I not allowed to withdraw my support and stop future donations? To my mind, there is no difference between these questions and the question of free speech on social media. If I am allowed to take appropriate action on the above 3 questions, then it answers the question about the ban by Twitter and Facebook on Trump. Trump has great bully pulpits and platforms within the White House directly under his control. He can give speeches, he can call press conferences, he can be interviewed on his favorite channels on radio and television channels. And that is where he should be actually doing all his communication. Twitter and Facebook were just fantastic bonuses that were handed to him on a platter. He could have used his unquestionable talent at using them to bring about great benefits and information to his citizens. Instead, he has misused them spectacularly to achieve his own repugnant ends and has therefore forfeited his right to access them. Again, that is simple as far as I am concerned. So, to sum it up, it's not as if we have snatched away the right of free speech from Trump. He still has various outlets on which to voice his grievances or to egg on his supporters, as he has done all the time. And in a way, the latest gag is just a small piece of tape or plaster that has been stuck to one corner of his lip. It does not even span the entire length of that prolific mouth. Scientists all over the world have been trying to invent a gag for Trump's mouth for the past 6 years. They have not succeeded so far. And as far as I can see, such a gag can never be invented. Thank you.